space number 2 all caps ACU.
Yeah, I think so. I remember.
Or group chats.
Is the internet running slow for you guys today?
Internet's been running slow.
It's been down quite a bit.
It went down on Friday, right?
And
Wednesday, right?
yeah.
Oh man. Okay. All right, we're gonna watch a lot of movie trailers today to break down Stuart Hall's cultural theory. I want you guys to ask a lot of questions because the amount of information that we're gonna go over today is super heavy, and I want you guys to be able to really function well when writing your essays on cultural theory. And I want us to all be able to understand why this is important in a media production class. Let's see. Everybody here has seen The Dark Knight, right?
Yes.
Cool. Cool.
Who is this?
Okay, good stuff. All right, so let's get started with roll. It's like we're in high school. That's crazy. Canvas. Let me make sure you all are getting credit for being here today.
It's super difficult.
Oh, this is slow.
By scanning the ACU, it'll show how much it used.
I went to ship for that with Bailey, and I was like, dude, why do they see this count? They're like, no. Like, well, that's rude. I think.
All right, Miss Stewart, you're here.
All summer they still.
Darzel is absent.
Sounds like student, AC student. I was like, yeah.
Nathan Peterson.
Here.
Awesome. Nathan Mayfield.
Here.
Awesome. Colton.
Here.
Awesome. Zach.
Here.
All right. And Walker.
Here.
Awesome. Has anybody seen Shay Garland from the basketball team?
Yeah, I was like,
Okay.
I'm not so
She was He's in this class?
Yeah. I looked at the,
Yes.
I looked at the canvas, dude. I was like, that's gonna be so bad.
All right.
He's gonna have so much fun.
Let's see.
He's going back for trial.
All right, guys. So we'll go ahead and get started. If anybody else comes in, they can come in. It's all good. Anybody? Nobody. Okay. All right. So everybody's feeling good?
Yeah.
Everybody had a good weekend.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy to be at ACU?
Yes.
Are there any issues anybody's having so far with the new campus? The reason why I ask is because we don't know. It's brand new. Anything?
The Ethernet in our room doesn't work.
Got it. Do you know who your RA is?
Yeah,
Have you made a report?
not to him. I did to like the
Like
maintenance
IT maintenance?
place.
Is that online system or something?
I was told to email them, and then I did that on the first day and haven't gotten a response.
Got it. And when was that? Last week?
Like the day we moved in.
So does Wi-Fi work?
Yeah, Wi-Fi does.
Got it. But Ethernet would probably be faster. That yeah.
I didn't realize it was
Okay.
wired.
All right, guys. So things like that, it's very important that you guys report that kind of stuff because, like I said, IT hasn't even had chance to go to all the classrooms on campus yet and make sure everything is up to snuff. It's not anybody's fault, it's just we barely got here, you know, we moved everything in July, so everybody's just trying to figure anything out. So if anything like that is hindering your educational process, say something. So you guys can be living in a lot of luxury on this new campus and it's all good, all right? Cool. So, as you guys know, my name is Professor Parkinson. I didn't tell you guys anything about me last class, did I? Okay, a few things about me. Both of my parents are Jamaican. I was born in Mount Vernon, New York. I used to live in the Bronx, the birthplace of hip hop. When I was a kid, I was like 6 months when we moved to Los Angeles, and I grew up in California. So, born in New York, grew up in Los Angeles. When I was 18, I left California, and I went to the Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina, studied in broadcast journalism, mass communications. Shaw University is historically black college, university. Left Shaw University, got a scholarship to the Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia, which is what I know about Jacksonville, Florida. Love Jacksonville. Was in Savannah for about 2 years, got a master's degree in film and television production. Left, went home to California, and I'm like, yo, I got a master's degree, I'm young, I'm cool, about to get a job. And what do you think happened, guys?
No job.
No job, nothing, nobody cared. Like, no one cares about, it's interesting, which is why we talk about dedication. In the mass comm world, your education isn't going to guarantee you a position anywhere. It is very important that you guys make as many milestones as you can during your educational process. So that's why you want to keep all the videos you make, all the essays you write, keep that stuff. Start emailing people now at television stations around the country, film studios, TV studios, radio stations. Even though it's dying, newspaper and magazine companies, anything you want to deal with inside of media. Right now, you're young, you're in college, start getting in touch with people. But we'll go over that a little bit more. So I started working as a career advisor for the Goodwill of Los Angeles. Ironically, the office that I managed was in Hollywood. So my dad would always joke me like, I guess he really made it. And so as a career advisor, my job was to help homeless and runaway youth in Los Angeles find housing, meal vouchers, clothing vouchers, and ultimately get jobs. So I did that for about a year and a half. Then I got promoted to the city of Pomona, where I did the same thing for a little bit longer, and we lost funding. After losing funding, I got offered the same job here in Phoenix, which is how I made my transition to Arizona. Did that for about 2.5 more years. Then I got a job as the media director for Kingdom in the Valley Church, which is one of the bigger churches here in Phoenix, Arizona. I was there for about 2.5 years, decided to leave, produced my first feature film. That was last year, and while doing that, I got offered a job to come teach here at Arizona Christian University. So here I am. So that's me, that's my story. But this class on media production, by the end of this class, you guys should have a good idea of theories of media, why media matters, why media is so important, why media is so powerful. Then, like that's going to be these first 2 weeks. Then it's going to be how to use a video camera, how to make a podcast, how to edit video, how to deliver edited material, right? But what we want to do is lay groundwork down as to how powerful media is. So, and this is all going to be on Canvas, don't worry about writing this down. Your first assignment is going to be a 1-page, double-spaced, I'm not a monster, don't worry about it, 1-page, double-spaced essay on Stuart Hall's cultural theory on encoding and decoding. Now, why this is important is because another phenomenon or theory of media, which is called social construction, which we'll be talking about on Wednesday, plays a big part in encoding and decoding a message. When it comes on to journalism, media, there are messages, ultimately, that are sent out. Those messages are received by audience members. Those audience members encode the information in that message. And that message is coming from a producer. usually to sell a product. Think about it, guys. Even a political campaign commercial is ultimately a product to sell you on a person running for some type of office. All right? So when you guys start looking at media as messages being sent out to audiences that must be decoded. Are we on the same page? Because I know that's a lot of information. I just want that to be understood. So here's the cool thing about what we're going to do to really understand Stuart Hall's theory of encoding and decoding. Your essay is going to be about the anti-villain. If you guys have noticed, how old are you guys? Is anybody here older than 24? Anybody older than 23? 22? Perfect. You guys are young. This is good. Okay, so like you guys growing up in the last 10 years, your generation is a world apart from your parents and your grandparents because culturally in America so much has changed in terms of cinema. For example, don't worry about this term, this won't be on the quiz, but there's a term called hegemony. Hegemony is the idealistic imagery that a particular group of people believe in. For example, the hegemonic ideal of a hero in American cinema is a good man who's masculine. Right? If we look at all the old movies from Arnold Schwarzenegger era in the 1980s, the Clint Eastwood Western era of the 70s and 60s, the blaxploitation era of the 60s, the old school romantic era of the American 1950s cinema, your hero is usually a man who's masculine and a good guy. That has changed a lot in the last 10 years because today we seem to get really excited about anti-villains, or I'm sorry, anti-heroes. And pretty much Webster's dictionary breaks down an anti-hero as somebody who is willing to use illustrative, dark, evil, or bad measures to reach a goal that's good for everyone. So just like a hero, they want to make something good happen, but they're willing to do dirt to get there. For some odd reason, the cultural identity of America has changed in like the last decade to where now we root for these complex people who aren't ashamed of being bad. So the idea is why? Where does this idea come from? And does everybody have to agree with this? So ultimately, the answer is no. You don't have to agree with anything that you see in the media, in print, on the internet, videos, video games, any type of media that's given to you, you as the audience, you as the consumer, you can do three things with it. You can agree with it, negotiate with it, or what would be the last thing? Disagree with it, exactly. So this is where encoding and decoding comes in. So this is ultimately what we're going to be talking about today. So before we go forward, any questions so far? No? All right, cool beans, cool beans. So to get this thing started, let's watch some movie trailers, all right, guys? Let's watch some movie trailers. Let's see what happens. All right, guys, we're going to get this thing started off with my favorite anti-hero ever, Killmonger. What? Here we go. Let's break this down.
justice to a man who stole your vibranium and murdered your people. Justice your king couldn't deliver. I don't care if you're about to call. Only reason I know to kill you while you stand is because I know who you are. Now what do you want? I want the throne. Hey, you, the tuna. I was sitting up here calm. Must feel good. It's about 2 billion people all over the world that looks like us. But their lives are a lot harder. Wakanda has the tools to liberate them all. And what tools? Our vibranium. For weapons. Our weapons will not be used to wage war on the world. It is not our way to be judged, jury, and executioner for people who are not our own. Not your own. Then life started right here on this continent. So in all people, your people. I am not the king of all people. I am king of Wakanda. And it is my responsibility to make sure our people are safe, that vibranium does not fall into the hands of a person like you.
Son, we have entertained the charlatan for too long. Reject his request.
Oh, I ain't requesting nothing. Ask who I am.
You're Alex Stevens, an American black operative, a mercenary nicknamed Killmonger. That's who you are.
That's not my name, princess. Ask me, king. No. Ask me. Take him away. Uncle Bobby, and then go to the doctor. Huh? I found my daddy with Panther claws in his chest. You ain't the son of a king, you the son of a murderer. We have to see something. Lies. I'm afraid not, Queen Mother. You invented control. Hey, Auntie. I'm exercising my blood right. The challenge for the mantles of King and Black Panther. Do not do this to child. As a son of Prince Joe, he is within his rights. Yes, no rights here. The challenge will take weeks to prepare. Weeks? I don't need weeks. The whole country ain't gotta be there. I just need him and somebody to get me out of these chains. What do you know of this? I accept your challenge.
Crazy. Okay, guys, so let's talk about this. We are being introduced in this scene. Is it hot? You guys hot? Okay, guys, so we're being introduced in this scene to ultimately the villain of Black Panther. But Ryan Coogler, writer, director of Black Panther, co-writer, was dope enough to make Killmonger an anti-hero, as well as the villain. We understand that he had a traumatic childhood experience. Later in the movie, we understand that he wants to use the resources of Wakanda to liberate enslaved people. White, black, doesn't matter who they are. Just anybody who is enslaved, anybody who is marginalized, he's like, I want to give you weapons to get out of bondage. So I was like, wait, this guy's crazy. But is he crazy? So we have a anti-hero or a villain. So in Stuart Hall's essay, which again will be found on Canvas, on encoding and decoding, he gives us 3 objectives that we can do when we get a message from the media. And those 3 things are accepting, right? We can accept the message just as it is. We agree with the producers, the filmmakers, the journalist, the writer, whoever it is that gave us the message. We can accept it. That's the first thing that we can do as media consumers. We can always accept. If we don't accept and we want to be met in the middle, or if we meet the message in the middle, that would be called negotiating. So, what would negotiating look like, guys? If we're sitting in a movie theater and we're being fed this information and we're realizing Killmonger might not be that bad of a guy, but he is a bad guy. We don't necessarily accept him as a hero in this movie, but we don't necessarily accept him as a bad guy. We are negotiating. So what kind of audience member? We're not talking about class, sex, age, race. We're just talking about psychology. What type of audience member would probably be there saying, yeah, I agree with this, and what type would be there thinking, maybe. I literally want to hear from you guys right now.
Probably, especially with like Killmonger, you'd see more like the younger generation negotiating. Like we tend to look more at like the bigger picture kind of thing. Whereas like yes, he's doing something pretty terrible, but like, do the ends justify the means kind of thing?
Nice.
Whereas like with like a lot of like the older generations, it's very like cut and dry. Like you said,
Yes.
the heroes were good guys, or like,
Yes.
and they had a solid purpose. There was no flaw.
Zach, very well said. Very well said. Now, what type of audience member would be accepting of Killmonger? There is no negotiating. It's just like, heck yeah, bro.
Somebody who's maybe been through the same thing as he was.
Somebody who maybe feels marginalized, right? Somebody who maybe comes from middle America. Maybe they come from a very small town. Maybe they feel like New York, Miami, Los Angeles, Seattle, Houston, the big cities that are all popular, doesn't care about them. Somebody who's like, yeah, I feel that. Very good. So what would be the third one, guys? We can accept a message. We can negotiate with a message. And lastly, we can what? Disagree. Stuart Hall's theory on encoding and decoding, we call that objecting. But disagree is correct. Objective. Okay? What type of audience member would probably object this idea of Killmonger not necessarily being a bad guy?
Maybe somebody who's in power, like T'Challa is.
Bingo.
Or like a dad of a family or some old generation.
Bingo! Just like how Zach mentioned, from generations of old, when we had a certain standard of a hero, maybe a person from that generation or that ideology of thinking would be able to say, nah, you can't take weapons filled with vibranium and give them to people to kill other people. That's not going to necessarily solve the problems of the world, right? So, in this one scene alone, or we should say in this product, Black Panther, sold by Marvel, owned by Disney. Obviously, it's a product because it's a movie. And any product that's given to audience members can be encoded. It is going to be encoded no matter what, guys. For example, side note, there are people who will tell you don't eat McDonald's chicken because it's pink slime and it's nasty, right? So you tell them, hey, yo, 2 McChickens for $3 this week at McDonald's, and they'll say, no way. Then there's people who are like, yo, I'm a poor college kid and I've got $3 to eat. 2 McChickens, heck yeah. No matter who you are, where you are, any message that's given to you, you're going to encode it. I'm sorry, you're going to decode it. We're going to decode. We're going to get into encoding in a moment. Encoding is what you guys are going to do as media professionals. When you write journalism, when you make a video, when you edit a video, when you upload the video, when you name the video, that's encoding. And no matter how much you try to be unbiased in anything you do with journalism or media, there is going to be some type of ideology in it from all your years of accepting, negotiating, or objecting other media ideas that were given to you. So this thing is a conundrum. It's very deep. When we try to, I think what happened in the last 10 years, this is just me, Professor Parkinson talking. I think what happened in the last decade in America is that all types of Americans, no matter race, sex, age, class, felt in some way or another that what they thought wasn't necessarily reality. America is a very fascinating country because of our history. But it seems like all types of Americans in one way or another has kind of been let down in the last 10 years. Things maybe haven't worked out like we thought it would. Not to say whether anything is good, right, bad, or wrong. This is not a political class. We're just talking about media and messages, okay? So with that, I think that's where the rise of the anti-hero came from. And we're gonna right now take a look at the guy who pretty much made that possible. What I think, movie and character, or we could even say idea or product that changed the game altogether. Let's take a look at Christopher Nolan's amazing film, what I think is maybe the greatest superhero movie of all time, The Dark Knight. Let's watch the trailer, guys.
Where do we begin? A year ago, these cops and lawyers wouldn't dare cross any of you. I mean, what happened?
So what are you proposing?
It's simple. Kill the Batman. Here's my card.
Bruce, this is her weekend.
Rachel's told me everything about you.
I certainly hope not. You almost told me that we'd be together. Did you mean it?
Bruce, don't make me your only hope for normal life.
Fair enough, right? That's what I said. Any psychotic ex-boyfriends I should be wearing?
I have no idea.
No idea. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're tonight's entertainment. Well, hello, beautiful. You look nervous.
I've seen now what has to become to stop men like him.
The night is darkest just before the dawn. I promise you, the dawn is coming. And here we go. This city deserves a better class of criminal. I'm gonna get it done. No. You'll see. I'll show you. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Awesome. Okay, guys, so right now, we're going to talk from a perspective of not that we've all probably seen this movie 100 times. Let's just talk from the perspective of what we saw in this trailer. How was the character of the Joker presented?
Almost,
What's that?
almost as like to like the mob, just from the trailer.
Just from the trailer, not from what we know of the movie.
Hero to like standing up for the mob.
Right. And anybody who is standing up for a criminal entity, we as human beings living in North America, we understand that to be a bad guy. So from this trailer, the character of Joker is presented as a villain, which is very fascinating because it's ultimately just a typical superhero movie. Hey, we've got Batman, and we've got his greatest nemesis of all time, the Joker. This guy is obviously crazy. He wants to kill Batman. One bad person, right? But now here's where Christopher Nolan is like, right? Crazy. Now let's watch one of the best scenes from the movie where Joker, who just killed Harvey Dent's girlfriend, has a conversation with the guy. Now think about the psychology behind what you were watching. Two men engaging in a conversation. One just killed the other one's girl. That's bonkers, right? Like, this guy's an evil person. But through his dialogue, I want you guys to listen to how he justifies what had been done. And then we're gonna discuss that next, okay guys? And remember, I want you guys to be thinking about accepting, negotiating, or objecting the messages that we're seeing here when it comes on to anti-villains. I know this is a lot of information, so is there any questions right now? No? You guys are awesome. All right, let's look at this next scene, guys.
You know, I don't want there to be any hard feelings between us, Harvey. When you and Rachel were being abducted, I was sitting in Gordon's cage. I didn't read those charges. Your man, your plan. Do I really look like a guy with a plan? You know what I am? I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it. You know, I just do things. The mob has plans. The cops have plans. Gordon's got plans. You know, they're schemers. Schemers trying to control their little worlds. I'm not a schemer. I try to show the schemers how pathetic their attempts to control things really are. So, when I say that you and your girlfriend was nothing personal, you know that I'm telling the truth. It's the schemers that put you where you are. You were a schemer, you had plans, and look where that got you. I just did what I do best. I took your little plan and I turned it on itself. Look what I did to this city with a few drums of gas and a couple of bullets. You know what I noticed? Nobody panics when things go according to plan. Even if the plan is horrifying. If tomorrow I tell the press that like a gangbanger will get shot, or a truckload of soldiers will be blown up, nobody panics. Because it's all part of the plan. But when I say that one little old mare will die, well, then everyone loses their minds. Introduce a little anarchy. Upset the established order. Everything becomes chaos. I'm an agent of chaos. Oh, you know the thing about chaos? It's fear. You live. You die. Now we're talking.
Okay, so as crazy as this guy is, this guy drops a lot of game. He breaks a lot of things down. He talks about things like anarchy. He makes a very good point when it comes on to what we're talking about, media and media production. He says, people go crazy when things don't go according to plan. If I were to tell you that tomorrow a truck full of soldiers, good guys, are going to be blown up, nobody cares. If I tell you that some gangbangers, culturally speaking, as Americans, we consider them to be bad guys, are going to kill each other, nobody cares. But if I tell you that one leader, a mayor in a town, is going to be killed, oh, that's not supposed to happen. So the trailer for The Dark Knight presents Joker as just your quintessential villain. But this scene now allows us to do one of three things. Like that trailer we watched, you can't really encode that trailer unless you're like a diehard fan and decide whether you're going to accept it, negotiate with it, or be objective to it. For the most part, you watch the trailer and you're like, oh, Batman, Joker, Joker's bad. But now, we're getting depth in the character, and we're understanding that this guy's just crazy as a fox, but he might be clever as well. So now we can actually accept, negotiate, or be objective. So if we can present those three things to an audience member, for the most part, we're doing a really good job of being journalists, filmmakers, videographers. But a lot of times when we sell products, like, yo, my name is Warner Brothers and I'm selling a movie called The Dark Knight, I'm going to give you a cut and dry trailer, no overthinking, Batman is gonna have to face the Joker, come see the movie and pay us $10. You don't necessarily always want your audience to be accepting, negotiating, or objective when they decode a message, okay? So now, something very fascinating is happening with this character, the Joker. And the reason we're using Joker is because he's one of the more popular characters or fictional characters in the world, especially in America. This year, another Joker movie starring Joaquin Phoenix is coming out. It's an origin story about the Joker. So let's take a look at the trailer and see how this conception of the Joker is going to be portrayed this time around. And we're going to compare it to the trailer, not this scene, but the trailer of The Dark Knight. All right, let's take a look, guys.
Arthur, does it help to have someone to talk to?
My mother always tells me to smile and put on a happy face. She told me I had a purpose. To bring laughter and joy to the world. Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Though your heart is aching, smile. Even though it's broken. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by if you smile. To the fear and sorrow, smile. And maybe tomorrow
Okay, guys, so let's talk about the ability to be accepting of this new telling of Joker, negotiating, and objective. How does this trailer portray the character of the Joker?
I would say more as like a person than the villain, it shows his human side.
Yes. Vulnerable. The guy gets beat up in an alley. Well, I think somebody stole his nose or his balloons or something, and he's just trying to get it back and they beat him up. That's not nice. The guy's on the subway just chilling, laughing, and some dudes in suits, so some rich guys maybe from Wall Street, if you will, punch him and beat him up. And then we hear a voiceover of him saying, you know, I thought my life was a tragedy, but it's really a comedy. So this is a guy who's trying to make light of the horrible situation. He's a grown man. It looks like he lives with his mom, and he's her caretaker. He's awkward. He's frail physically. He's vulnerable. So it is interesting how in that last trailer of The Dark Knight, we present the Joker as just a bad guy. Not until you actually watch the movie do we get some understanding of the depth of his character and, oh, maybe he's actually an anti-hero. Maybe he's not necessarily a villain. But here, we're just being presented with the Joker as a human. And maybe we understand why he becomes chaotic or psychopath. So, this is good because it allows us to either accept it, negotiate with it, or we can also object it. What, if any of you have, feel free to talk. Do any of you object the message of this trailer about the character of Joker? Just a question. Okay, let's just pretend. If one of you objected this movie portraying the Joker is a vulnerable guy who is unfairly judged by the world, why would you feel that way?
Maybe because of what we know the Joker as.
Bingo, bingo. So that's very important. When we are creating media, if we're writing something, editing something, making a movie, making a television show, writing a magazine article, a newspaper article, doing a video for news, if we are reporting on a famous athlete and we're working for a sports station, we also have to always be cognizant as media creators of encoding. Let's talk about encoding. E-N-C-O-D-I-N-G? Is there an E? There might be an E, guys. Okay, encoding is what goes into creating your product, your message. It's not necessarily always going to be a product. It could also just be a message. So let's call it a message. Whenever you, as a journalist, filmmaker, writer, reporter, anchor, editor, anybody who's creating messages or products to go out into the world, when you do that, you are encoding. So, the writer of this film, the editor of this trailer, the director of this film, Joaquin Phoenix, the actor who plays the Joker, they all have to be on the same page of what their message is, and that is encoding. So, from us being intelligent film goers, or audience members of messages, we can understand the encoding that was going on with this messaging is that the Joker's not a bad guy. He's a whole person. He's got issues. We can sympathize or empathize with his character. If you notice, the movie's coming out in the fall. Usually in North America, your dramas come out in the fall. Your action movies come out in the summer. Your comedies come out in the spring. So, based on the timing of the movie, based on the tone of the lighting, how dark the movie actually looks, the sad music that plays in the actual trailer, we are being told through encoding how to feel about Joker. But when we as audience members either buy the product, which is tickets to see the movie, we read the article, we watch the video on YouTube, we watch the commercial, we watch the television show, no matter if it's a talk show, a reality show, a comedy, while we are ingesting the media, the message, we are decoding. All right, guys? So, this is decoding. When you receive the message, you accept it, you negotiate it, or you're objective to it. When you are creating the media, you are encoding, okay? That is ultimately what I want to see in this one-page essay that is due on Wednesday that you guys are going to write on anti-heroes. You can take any kind of approach to it that you want to. You can talk about an anti-hero from a TV show. You can talk about an anti-hero from a movie. But I want us to just all have like a central frame of reference instead of me saying, hey guys, write a one-page essay on Stuart Hall's theory of encoding and decoding. It's like, where do we start? So, to keep this as simple as possible, we're all going to write about anti-heroes and how an audience member can accept, negotiate, or object when an anti-hero is presented. And that is called decoding. But I also want to see in the essay, you guys talk about encoding. Why a filmmaker, producer, writer, actor, whoever would encode an anti-hero. What's the point of it? Why would we do it? What's the interesting thing about it? Guys, I don't want this essay to take you more than 2 or 3 hours to write. I don't want you to be up all night on Wikipedia and Google, drinking coffee, stressing over this. This is my way of understanding how you as a student comprehend information. We're going to read a little bit from the actual essay. The essay is going to be available on Canvas. It's super long. It's like 10 or 12 pages. I don't expect you to memorize it. I don't expect you guys to come back quoting it. But, and in your essay, you don't have to write it APL style where there's footnotes at the bottom. It's just a one-page essay breaking down encoding and decoding as it relates to anti-heroes in movies or television. Keep it super simple, guys. I just want to understand how you guys are able to absorb information and then explain it back. Don't stress over this, okay, guys? No matter how terrible your essay is, as long as you turn it in, it's 5 points. So don't write it 5 minutes before you come to class, but do not stress over this. All right, guys? I know this is a lot of information, but this is where this class starts. We have to be able to understand the power of media. All right, guys? So right now, we're going to hear from Stuart Hall himself about encoding and decoding. Let's see what we've got here.
Organization. Who wrote Barnes' book, Mythologies, that you see there. And in that book, Roland Barthes are ideas, meanings, conceptions, theories, beliefs, etc., and the form of consciousness which are appropriate to them. Hall, along with other theories associated with the Birmingham Center for Contemporary Cultural Studies, people like Dick Hedvich and David Morley, investigated the relationship between media and ideology. Though semiotic analysis of systems of signification in texts such as television news bulletins was an important part of their arsenal. something by the audience. Hall extends this semiotics here. And so, unlike the behaviorist approach to communication, Hall's model of encoding decoding does not assume a direct correspondence between the meaning intended by a sender and how that meaning is interpreted by a recipient. The codes of encoding and decoding may not be perfectly symmetrical. It may not be perfectly symmetrical by a recipient. What he said was the codes of encoding and decoding may not be perfectly symmetrical. And he's interested in how media represent and misrepresent what they rather than simply reflect those meanings onto their audiences. So while encoding and decoding are separate processes, they are not arbitrary. Encoding, at the phase of production, operates within a set of what he called professional codes, such as technical competency and high budget production values. See the model there of the encoding decoding process. So, going back to encoding, these professional codes that he illustrated generate preferred meanings that have the institutional political ideological order imprinted in them and have themselves become institutionalized. Television is the medium that Hall studied the most and that he was most interested in, although one could extrapolate much of this to the audiovisual component of the internet. And so, sort of as an example, we can look to, in Britain, the BBC, which operates a professional code that's in line with their public service ethos. So one characteristic of this code relates to the BBC's political impartiality. The BBC is not allowed to take sides in party politics, otherwise it would be breaking its code and being unprofessional. The preferred meaning that's encoded by BBC news channels therefore include political impartiality.
Okay, let's stop right there, because this guy is talking mumble jumble. I know. It sounds like, what the heck is this guy talking about? So, I want you guys to pay attention to what he says about codes. Certain media entities, whether they create entertainment or journalistic media, operate under certain codes. The BBC is regarded worldwide, and the BBC is the British Broadcasting Corporation, which is the CNN of the United Kingdom, the Fox News of the United Kingdom. BBC is watched worldwide and maybe has a bigger audience than CNN or Fox News. The interesting thing about the BBC is their code of conduct is to never take a side when reporting the news. Kind of like what NPR radio does here in the States. Everything's supposed to just be presented as facts. There is no affliction in the tonality. Notice when you listen to like NPR radio, somebody will say, today in Colorado, tragedy struck when a tornado destroyed a school, no one was hurt. That's it. Flat, monotone, there is no affliction in the voice. But if we're watching a media outlet that is more so geared toward a particular group of people, then you might get afflictions. Today in Colorado, there was a tornado. This is terrible. We can only hope that everybody survived. Thank God nobody was hurt. The Red Cross is going out there right now. Send money. Now all of a sudden we've pressurized our audience to believe that this is a huge catastrophe. We need to help and we'll be good people by doing it. Same message, just delivered two different ways. So someone like the BBC, they try their best not to encode. Okay? That way you can kind of skip the accepted, negotiating, or being objective part. That's not so true here in America. In America, where we have so many freedoms in terms of media creation, content creation, there's always going to be, for the most part, some type of coded nature to what we are presenting to our audience. And that, guys, is encoding, right? So you encode when you produce media, and you decode when you receive the media. How this relates to anti-heroes, I just want you guys to break down in 3 paragraphs, a 1-page essay, how or why, when somebody receives information, whether it's a trailer, a movie, a TV show, when they decode the message, why they would accept it, why they would be able to negotiate with it, or why they'd be able to object it, or what type of audience member would object it, what type of audience member would negotiate with it, what type of audience member would accept it. The purpose of this exercise is to get you guys thinking now and forever. Whenever you create media, whether you're in front of the camera or whether you're behind the camera, always be thinking, what am I encoding in my message? Sometimes you purposely need to encode. If we work for Kellogg's marketing and they come up to us and they say, young lady, nobody in Florida is buying Frosted Pop-Tarts. They're selling out everyone in the Southeast but Florida. We need you to come up with a commercial this week that'll make kids make their parents buy Frosted Pop-Tarts. Give us an idea of how you would do that. What would be in the commercial?
I would tell them how they're healthy.
Bam! We're gonna lie. We're gonna say Pop-Tarts are healthy. Nothing wrong with that. It's fair game. It's a free market. We can do whatever we want. Pop-Tarts are healthy. True. Healthy. What else? How are we gonna sell these Pop-Tarts in Florida? What else are we gonna tell them about Pop-Tarts?
They're cheap.
They're cheap. Healthy. Cheap. Everybody likes cheap. Give me one more thing. Give me 3 things. One more.
Good. Tastes good.
Tastes good. Bam. Bam. Okay. She's our writer-producer. We're a marketing team. You guys are at Kellogg's. She says, look, y'all, we're going to rebrand Frosted Strawberry Pop-Tarts. I want you to make me a commercial that makes them look healthy, cheap, and good. Now, you guys have to pick kids who are going to be in the commercial. What do these kids look like? What are these kids wearing? What colors are in the commercials? Who's going to do the voiceover narration? Is there going to be voiceover narration? What kind of music is going to be playing in the background? Is there music playing in the background? This is a 30-second commercial. What all needs to go in it so we can, bottom line, sell more Pop-Tarts? When we start thinking like that, what are we doing, guys? We're encoding a message to sell Pop-Tarts, right? Now, during that encoding process, we're going to have to accept the fact that we are creating a marketing tool. We're selling a product. So encoding isn't necessarily bad or evil. It's actually very practical. People at church encode. Why should you come to my Sunday service and not his Sunday service? Well, you're going to get the word. We're going to do praise and worship. We're going to read the Bible. And, on Wednesdays, we've got Bible study. All right? Another church might use more illustrative means to convince you to come to church. Hey, there's a lot of single women at this church. If you want to get married, you should come to my church. There's good, godly women here. Right? Another church might be like, hey, we don't do all that praise and worship shouting stuff. We just come in. We're Bible-based. You should come here. 3 different messages, 3 different churches. It's up to you as an audience member to then accept, negotiate, or reject the messaging and decide ultimately, 1, whether or not you're going to go to church, or 2, which one of those 3 churches that marketed toward you using encoding you're going to pick. So, again, guys, in this 1-page essay, we're going to talk about encoding and decoding the anti-hero in American film or television. Talk to me about what type of audience member would be accepting of the anti-hero and why. What type of audience member would negotiate with the anti-hero being presented. And what type of audience member would just completely object to it. There is no right or wrong answer. This is you guys critically thinking and explaining yourselves, okay? So I'm gonna read a little bit of Stuart Hall's essay so we can get some understanding of what the guy's talking about. And remember, guys, the essay will be available on Canvas. So I want you guys to read the entire essay. Let's see. Okay, guys, here is a passage from an essay on Stuart Hall's encoding, decoding model of communication. Let's take a look. Let's see. Okay, so the encoding, decoding model of communication was first developed by cultural studies scholar Stuart Hall in 1973, titled Encoding and Decoding. In the television discourse, Hall's essay offers a theoretical approach of how media messages are produced, disseminated, and interpreted. Cultural theorist Stuart Hall regards language use as operating within framework of power, institutions, politics, economics. The gatekeepers of the frameworks are audience members. Okay, let's stop right there because that's very, very, very easy to miss. So, Hall is saying, check this out, guys. The gatekeepers of the frameworks are audience members. Can anybody take a stab at what do you think he means?
Maybe it's like, so this is the gatekeeper of the framework, or the people watching it basically. So like a gatekeeper is somebody that allows you in or out, and we're allowing in the idea of what they're building with their framework.
Boom. That's it, man. That's it. You guys have way more power as consumers than you think. Because if the Pop-Tart commercial doesn't work, who's in trouble? Kellogg's gonna come and be like, hey, I thought you and your marketing team came up with a great concept, but we still didn't sell any more Pop-Tarts. Now, if the Pop-Tarts are flying off the shelf, Kellogg's like, yo, however much money you want, we're gonna pay you to stay and keep making commercials for us. Because ultimately, the gatekeepers of the frameworks being the media, are the audience members themselves. So a lot of times, we give credit to companies like Disney or Marvel. And we say, man, they're so awesome. They're making this incredible universe of superheroes and I love it. And I'm giving them my money every month to be entertained. But they're not the awesome ones. It's the actual worldwide global audience that keep watching the movies. If for some odd reason superheroes aren't cool next week and all the superhero movies start to tank, nobody's gonna make superhero movies anymore because they're not profitable. So who ultimately in this encoding, decoding world has the power? The one encoding and creating and selling, or the ones who are decoding and accepting, negotiating, or being objective? Whoever's decoding the message has the power. So you guys gotta start thinking like that. You guys, being college students, are like the most powerful group of people in America. You guys are gonna decide what the world is gonna look like in 10 years. In 10 years, you guys are gonna be working adults. Some of you are gonna be parents. Some of you are going to be running companies. Some of you are going to be really high up in companies. Some of you aren't going to be working for anybody but yourself. You guys are going to be entrepreneurs. And you guys are going to decide what the future looks like. So, right now, you guys are the gatekeepers of the framework ultimately. But when you guys become those people who are then encoding and creating, you're not as powerful as you think you are. Because ultimately you're only as powerful as how successful you are. You're only as successful as you are based on how your audience accepts, negotiates, or as objective to the ideas that you present or the products that you're trying to sell. So do you guys see how this is all a cycle? You guys see how it's all a cycle? So again, in your essays on encoding and decoding, anti-heroes, doesn't necessarily be a superhero. It could be the guy from Breaking Bad. It could be the guy from, we're talking about anti-heroes. And we're talking about why a producer or a content creator would encode and create that kind of content. And then what type of audience member would accept, negotiate, or object it. One-page essay, double-spaced. Don't kill yourself over this. All right, guys? So, Hall further explains that the level of connotation of the visual sign of its contextual reference and positioning in different discursive fields of meaning and association is the point where already coded signs intersect with deep semantic codes of a culture and take on additional, more active ideological dimensions. What does that mean, guys? That's perfect. You shouldn't know, because this is master degree level stuff. You guys are pretty much going to be reading and then writing an essay on an essay from a cultural theorist that usually is only talked about in master degree programs. But you guys are super smart, so we're doing it right now on the bachelor degree program. All right, guys? Which is again why I'm saying don't kill yourself over this. I want you guys to read the essay, and I want you guys to pretty much answer the question on encoding and decoding anti-heroes. And I want to understand how you guys are able to comprehend information that you read. All right, guys? So, let's see. If we were to break this down, Hall further explains the level of connotation, meaning the similarities between encoding and decoding of the visual signs. Visual signs would be us making a commercial showing how Pop-Tarts are healthy, cheap, and good. The visuals of it all. Of its contextual reference, everything is reference, okay guys? Color, tonality, music, the reference and everything. And positioning. Positioning meaning how the message is being sent to you. Is it TV? Is it magazine? Is it a movie? In different discursive fields. Journalism, print, news, movies, television, of meaning and association is the point where already coded signs. What would be an already coded sign that we can easily discuss? A coded sign would be when we are watching Nickelodeon or the Disney Channel, we already understand that the messages in the commercials are going to be for a group of people, little people, kids, coded signs. Intersect with deep semantic codes. So all that's saying is there are obviously things that are obvious to us. We see the Nickelodeon logo, the Disney logo, we know that's for kids, right? But there are deeper meanings to kids running in the field, or kids eating Pop-Tarts. It's like happiness, joy. We understand the association with certain visuals. Codes of a culture. That culture being, of course, the North American culture that we all live and operate in. Take on additional, more active ideological dimensions. So we see kids running in the field. They're all wearing white. We see a big person dressed as a Pop-Tart chasing them. We hear really nice music. We see flowers. And now voiceovers saying healthy, cheap, good Pop-Tarts. We understand that this is obviously for children, but the deeper dimension is that Pop-Tarts are going to bring you happiness. That's ultimately what we're telling you. Your kids are going to be happy with Pop-Tarts. That's the deeper meaning of it all. So, again guys, this is master degree level stuff. I'm not asking you to read and then interpret this article on encoding and decoding. We're just taking the message of decoding and encoding from this. You guys are going to be reading this article to further your understanding of encoding and decoding and then tell me in a one-page, double-spaced essay about anti-heroes. Why they're popular, why people like them, what type of production company, producer, writer, filmmaker would want to encode an anti-hero. What type of audience member would accept, negotiate, or be objective to an anti-hero, okay? On Canvas, you guys are gonna find a link to read the article, and there also is going to be a video of a guy breaking down, not the video we watched, another video of a guy breaking down Stuart Hall's theory of encoding and decoding. It's like 4 minutes long. So if you guys are reading the article and you're like, what is he talking about? Just watch the video 2 or 3 times, and it'll break it down in the simplest form, okay guys? So Wednesday, essays due. 1 page, double space, if it's longer, it's all good. Don't go crazy, okay guys? Any questions before you guys get out of here? You guys sure?
Is it due before we come to class?
Yeah. Just do it before you guys come to class. If for some odd reason you're having a very hard time with it, we can discuss further when you get to class. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. All right. Guys, have a great Monday. A good Monday.
Yeah, I live to my house, so I live back to it. I don't know if it's that.
Oh, nice. But I can't use my desktop. Neat. Because every time I saw it, it would say ID.
Well, how's the barcode on that work?
Can I scan? Do I have to walk?
Yeah, you just walk in and they scan that.
Really?
Yeah.
Does the...
I use that to get this one.
And can I use it for, can I use it for,
The cat, you use like coffee shop and then cat actual cat.
okay, cool. Good.
But it's only $300 too.
I know, but I'm pretty much eating at my apartment.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, I eat at home, so.
See you Wednesday.
All right, see you guys.
Thank you.
Good class today, guys.
Have a good one.
You too, sir.